People of African Seasoned Speakers Network. I'm Scofray 🮶🬏 and I'm built to have a discussion with you and the entire globe on few subject areas. Mine is basically to discuss communication in the 21st century. So I want to officially welcome you to this particular evening discussion. If you are so I'll be very happy you can go onto the link and share with somebody so that somebody can also benefit from this particular live discussion. So let's use this few minutes to share the link as I'm about to do so that we can make the best out of it. Today I am discussing communication in the 21st century. Communication in the 21st century. So I will want you, if you come online, I will want you to share the link with somebody. Don't make it a matter of you yourself alone. If you come online, I will entreat you to share with somebody. Let us abreast ourselves with the new dynamics and dimensions when it comes to communication in the 21st century and beyond. So if you just join me, kindly share the link so that we can make the greatest of impact that we all want to be. So kindly share the link, be prepared to ask questions, and let's make the best out of this particular conversation. So I'm using this particular time just as a curtain raiser to get people to come on board. I want you to share the link. Don't be selfish. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the link. Let us all be abreast with communication in the 21st century. I want you to come online. Let's join forces. Let's see how we can learn something new, something that can impact our life. I am discussing communication in the 21st century. This particular time, I just want us to be sharing the link so that I can zoom into the discussion in the next five minutes. I want you to quickly zoom into it, so be encouraged to share with somebody. I want you to share with somebody. I'm discussing communication in the 21st century. So I will want you to just share the link so that we can all empower somebody. I am speaking on communication in the 21st century. That is the power impact topic for today. Scofray 🮶🬏, a transformational coach, an authority in the area of communication. I do the best I can to make sure people live their lives better. So what I'm doing now is sharing the link across board, friends who can join or who want to join, so that we make the greatest of impact. So please, if you also here, kindly share the link. I'm going to speak on the subject matter, communication in the 21st century. Communication in the 21st century. So if you are on, kindly share the link. Let us all make impact together. I know you'll be blessed. I know you will learn something new. So communication for the 21st century. I'll be looking at redefinition of communication, which will get you to understand the new frontiers of communication, the specs of communication, something that I have tabled, then the brain chemistry of communication. What I want us to be able to achieve or to look at is communication is evolving. It's evolving so quick, and you don't need to be left behind. I don't want you to be left behind. So join us for us to make this discussion a fruitful one. Join us to make this discussion a fruitful one. I am discussing communication in the 21st century. So join us and let us learn. Let's share. If you also come on the thread, I will encourage you to share. I will encourage you to share so that we can all make the best out of what we intend to learn. So please, I will encourage you to share. Let us share and get people to join us. I am discussing communication in the 21st century. I am discussing communication in the 21st century. And some of these subject or the sub-subject I'm going to discuss is basically redefining communication, what I call the spec in communication, the chemistry behind communication, so that you see communication not just as anything at all, but it is something that you must pay attention to, whether you are conscious or unconscious of it. Communication occurs. So it is up to you to be conscious and make dedicated effort, make effort, make the lessons you need to obtain. You can't live your life without communication. So I want to encourage you to share the link with somebody so that I can zoom in right away and share what I have or have got to share with you. So let me zoom in right away. Communication. Recently, I gave communication a definition. Having trained people in communication over the years, having gone through a series of training myself, having followed the best that can be in the area of communication, having read from the best that can be in the area of communication, I've come to a simple understanding, and this is how I define communication. And permit me to share with you how I define communication. And this definition actually dovetails into the 21st century and how communication should be. Communication, this is how I define it. Communication is the fluidity of logical reasoning, critical thinking, pragmatic analysis with common sense. Communication is the fluidity of logical reasoning, critical thinking, pragmatic analysis with common sense. So I say that don't just think, but reason, analyze, and apply common sense. Don't just think, but reason, analyze, and apply common sense. Where the world is going, or the world has gotten to, and the fact it is going to go, every facet of the human life it's basically about communication. Every facet of the human life is basically about the communication. And in the 21st century, we cannot be behaving the same way we used to behave in the past. Because if you don't have the right tools, if you don't have the right understanding, if you don't have the right ability to communicate properly and communicate right, you maximizing the best that this century will bring to us will be very minimal. So I will want us to follow this particular discussion very aptly, so that you can also go away with something. If you can make simple notes. So I'm currently speaking on communication in the 21st century, and this is a definition I've given to communication that will drive us into the new century. Communication is the fluidity of logical reasoning, critical thinking, pragmatic analysis with common sense. So let me take it one by one. The 21st century we are in and beyond, people are going to communicate via what they're capable of doing. So technically, people are going to communicate via what they have the ability, the skills, the insight to do. So if you are somebody who does things with people and you are not going to communicate with a sense of logical reasoning, don't be quick to give answers. Remember that whatever you are talking about, is it factual? Because it is this particular century that we have even companies that have been established to do only fact checking on the internet. Not only on the internet, but if you say something vocally and it can be recorded and translated into or transcribed into text, people are able to fact check it. There are companies whose sole job is to do fact checking. So if your communication and everything you do does not fall within logical reasoning, it means that at a point you will fall short of fact. And when you are an expert, you are a consultant, you are a speaker, and whatever you are articulating, whatever you are sharing, if it falls short of accuracy, it means that you will find yourself wanting. Critical thinking. Whatever you are saying, everybody is going to subject it to a certain way of analysis, a certain way of thinking, a certain way of looking at it. So you yourself, before you put something out there as a speaker, as a trainer, as a consultant, as a teacher, as a preacher, whatever your profession with, because we all use communication to get the results we look for on anything we do. So your communication must be full of critical thinking. Don't take it for granted, because that is more or less like a data warfare. So if whatever you are articulating cannot sit right into people to really think and go like, okay, how can I get something out of it? If it's only going to be wishy-washy and you think you've just blown something out there and it should go, people won't take it serious. Learn to analyze information. Learn to analyze your personal life. Learn to analyze how you have positioned yourself. Learn to analyze, because everything you do will go through a sieve rate. If somebody out there is going to analyze the things you are doing, the things you are saying, if you are an expert in an area, how you are bringing people up to speed what you are doing. If you don't always remember at the back of your mind that people are pragmatically analyzing what you are doing, your communication won't go right. Then I come to the point, the last word I say, common sense. Don't just think, but reason and apply common sense. Now, let me tell you, in certain jurisdictions, when you nod your head like this, it means yes. In other environments, when you do like this, it means no. Where in other elements, when you do like this, which means no in certain areas, this same heading also gives you a yes. So it is common sense in communication to always understand your environment as an expert, consultant, as a speaker, as a preacher, as a professional. You must be well abreast, at least get to know the basic fundamental of the environment you find yourself in. Because communication thrives on common sense. If you are going to speak to a room full of women, you must apply the common sense to know that women are more emotional beings, because they even have that ability with their brain. They are emotional beings. So whatever you want to share with women within that frame, you must apply common sense. Now get it. Men are egoistic. Men are egoistic. They are mechanical. So if you want to talk to men and address men in certain faculties, a certain understanding, certain environment, remember that men are egoistic, so whatever you want to say, you wouldn't want to bruise their ego. And they want to fact check and challenge you. So you will need to apply common sense. There must be common sense approach in communication, because this 21st century, where it is going to be about, let's say, Internet of Things, it is going to be it's going to be we call it the fifth industrial revolution, the sixth, where artificial intelligence, all these are going to play a role. So it will take your common sense approach in your communication that will get people into you. If you are addressing children, if you are talking to kids, if the work you do involves kids, you will need to apply a high level, because anything you say, you write, everything you're going to say can Through communication, you build solid reputation. If you are conscious that you want to go this far in this 21st century and beyond, then it is very cardinal and important for you to build a solid reputation. And you must have it at the back of your mind every time that whatever steps you are taking, you are building something. So all your communication, remember, from head to toe, you are building a solid reputation. The P in specs stands for people management. According to the World Economic Forum, the future of jobs, one of the key skills that is cardinal in this era or in this 21st century is people management. There is no way, there is no, even animals, if you want to be able to manage animals, you must understand the way they communicate. You must understand their being. How much more human beings? So if you want to get the best of this 21st century and beyond, you must learn how to manage people. And you can do that by communication. So you don't take communication for granted. You are a manager, you are an HR person, whatever faculty you play a role, people management, the cardinal tool that is needed to manage people is communication. So don't take your communication for granted. I will skip the E and come back to it. So I'll go to the C. In the same World Economic Forum, the future of jobs, the top 10 skills. The other one that also showed up was what we call the coordinating with people. We have moved into an era where networking has become very, very vital. Show me your network and I can judge your worth or your net worth. How can you coordinate with people? How can you network with people if you have a very, very bad communication skills? So we think that we limit everything to the way I talk. No. You must have it at the back of your mind that the farthest you want to go, you would need people. You will need to stand on other shoulders. You need to be in loops. You need to be in other people's cycle and networks. And it will take your kind of communication to either sustain you in a network, either attract you into a network, or either inure you into a network, because your network can build your net worth. Then the E, which actually should have come before the C, is emotional intelligence. When you go deep into my definition of communication, where I said that communication is the fluidity of logical reasoning, critical thinking, pragmatic analysis with common sense. I said that don't just think, but reason, analyze, and apply common sense. When you know you are going into a room full of women, and that is not when you are going to do that, your egoistic attitude, because women are prone to their emotions. That is what I call the common sense. When you go into a room full of men and you want to say you want to run trains for them, remember men can be reasonable. Fact-checking people. So if I'm dealing with men, it is very important to exercise that common sense that whatever you are doing, pick them up to speed. Be factual. Be able to shrap on their egos. Because this 21st century, everything thrives on communication. So that is the bit with the aspects of communication. That you use communication to build solid reputation. It allows you to do people management, and allows you to exercise emotional intelligence, and allow you to coordinate network in the loops in your cycles. There are experts or in science. My main speaking or my main discussion is to give you the evidence that communication is scientific than the way we see it. Because when we limit communication to the arts, we think that it is only, okay, what I've altered. But when you see communication as scientific, you will realize that a whole chemistry, a whole mathematical equation, a whole form of network, neurons, certain things take place before everything you see yourself doing happens. So people say, some scientists say is that there is the logic brain, which we used to do the 1 + 1 and 2. Then there is the heart brain, which I've explained that it is the emotional intelligence cortex of the brain. Then we have the guts brain.
Watch it. There is so much information available in this dispensation, right? You go to the contract signing table, the MOU. You go into the event, you prepare the document, 1+1, everything is on point. Somehow, there is a feeling, that's what we call the gut feeling, that even though per the 1+1 on the document, everything looks fine, there is a gut feeling that not all is well. That is the brain, and scientists have alluded to that. It is also a part of the brain, the gut feeling. Now, let me ask you, the women gets this better. How are women able to know when they are at work that something ain't right with their kids, whether in school or in the house? How are women able to know that when they are at work, they will tell you, I need to call home. Why? Because their guts springs out a certain feeling, a certain connection, because of the vibration this world is full of, because everything about this universe is communicating. Everything. So if you have this understanding, you will be able to evolve your gut to the point that even when both the science, even when the facts, even when things are right, you should be able to have the gut to support these two things. So in communication, you only don't use facts. You only don't use facts in communication. You only don't need to be emotionally intelligent about it. You need to be able to add that gut feeling. You remember there was a time your phone was on silent. It was not on vibration. You had gone to the bathhouse. You were bathing, and it's dawned on you that somebody had called you. Lo and behold, you got into the room, picked your phone, and indeed the person had called. Or sometimes the phone is in your pocket, it's on silent, it's not on vibration, but you feel your phone is ringing. So if you are able to understand that there is more to communication than the way we see it, then you will be able to position yourself and begin to connect your body such that you can maximize communication in this 21st century. There are some things that happen. There are something that's happened. In communication, you either enforce or betray the following. In communication, you either enforce or betray yourself in the following. Your heart set, which we have talked about. I am able to tell how you feel about people, how empathetic you are towards people's situation by your line of communication. I'm able to tell. Effective. This era, communication must be effective. It must be persuasive, influential, and collaborative. Communication exhibits your attitude. Communication exhibits your skills. And it is through communication you also exhibit what you know. That is knowledge. That is why Maya Angelou said that people will forget what you did, mostly your skill set. People will forget what you said. That is the knowledge you shared. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And it has been proven scientifically that and get it right. Now, I have termed something called VAN. Communication is basically not limited to verbal, even though it is one. It also, through communication, you can establish the authority you are in a particular subject area. So, in the van, your verbal way of communicating, how you establish how authority you are in a subject area, and how you deploy non-verbal communication. This is also very critical. This is very, 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 very critical. Because your emotional issues, the mind issues, and the impact of everything you do, there is something in your human body called the autonomic nervous system. There is a reason why you must be conscious not only of what you are saying, but you must be conscious of what also your body is saying, the non-verbal, the body language. So that is why even in there's something called somatic awareness. When something affects you psychologically, it has an impact on your body. When something affects you emotionally, it has an impact on your body. So in the spheres of everything you do in your communication, don't neglect how your body dovetails into whatever you are doing. So remember that the brain is rational, so it thinks. Remember that it is also emotional and it can feel. Remember that it is instinctual, so it decides and acts. That is why I said that in your haste of doing things, it does not have the body at play. Have you taken your time to monitor our brothers who are vocally impaired? Have you taken your time to see that when they are doing the sign languages and everything, check their facial expressions as well. Check their shoulders. Check their body. It will tell you that every sign they are making, it conforms with a part of the body. There is a rhythm, there is a balance, there is a sync, there is harmony with the body as well. So you cannot underestimate the chemistry that takes place in your brain, because they are supposed to only to do sign. How come a part of their face, their eye, their mouth, they squint, they do all that to enforce the language they are sending to you? So that should tell you that communication in ineffectiveness is not only a matter of social science, but it is also a matter of what the body does. Whatever I am saying, before the word comes out of my vocal cord, it has already taken place in my mind. So to move into this 21st century and beyond, your communication cannot be business as usual. No. Your communication cannot be as business as usual. If you are watching me, I'll be very glad that you share the link with your friends. I'm talking about communication in the 21st century. And my intention and my purpose is to make sure that you don't look at communication as business as usual like you did before watching this particular live encounter. Because in this 21st century, the bargaining chip is your ability to communicate effectively. Your bargaining chip is your ability to communicate effectively. Because I think that in this particular dispensation, your communication can expose your attitude. It can expose and let people know what you are capable of doing, your skill set. It can expose and let people know how you reason. So don't only limit communication to vocal. This is the mistake a lot of us have made. So we are not able to maximize the best the human being is capable of doing. So you can share. Now, let me break it down a bit into the science. And this is not to dovetail or go deep into it, no. It is to give you an understanding or insight that communication is scientific. It's scientific. If you pick the human brain, what I've termed the brain cortices for communication, these are the parts that enforces communication. Prefrontal cortex. the seat of higher functions and conscious processes, such as emotional regulation. That is why when you get angry, there is something that gets you to calm your emotions down. It happens. It's the brain that activates that. The parietal cortex. This processes the sensories, why you can touch, why you put medicine on your tongue, you feel it bitter, why somebody tickles you, that you smell or not, all that your sensory input and coordinate in space and time. You cannot be laughing every time, you cannot be crying every time. So this is how the brain makes you function that. And that's why you must understand that communication, it isn't a matter of just lip service. It goes beyond that. And when you are conscious and aware that communication is even a biological clock, or something that has to do with even your brain, now you will find ways to stimulate your brains and get the best out when it comes to communication. Then we have the temporal cortex, where we process abstract metaphors and language. This is where we are able to get the meaning to maybe somebody makes an idiomatic expression. This is where you sieve those stuffs from. Then occipital cortex, that's all the visual processing. The limbic system, this is where our love, our hatred, our pain, our happiness, this is the part of the brain that feelings come from. And we have linked through this discussion that communication isn't only the ability to articulate. It isn't only able to showcase the skill you have, but it's the ability to connect what you know, what you can do, and how you want people to feel with the two. That is the utmost part. That is the ultimate. If you say you are an effective communicator. So experts like us, when you begin to talk, we are not only looking at what you can do. I'm also not looking at what you are saying, but I'm looking at how you're going to cut my feeling towards what you can do and what you're saying. This is why I say communication must be persuasive, must be effective, collaborative, and must be influential. So I want to find example. If communication is not brain work, I have explained the first one, our brothers who are vocally impaired. Why is it that they connect the entire body to express or make expression? We have our brothers who stutter, others say stammer. When they construct the sentence in the brain and it takes effect, they make every effort to complete the sentence. Sometimes we try to complete the sentence for them and they will still want to end it. They are not ending it, they are not to end it. The brain has ended it, so the vocal cord should exercise it. So you see, communication isn't just the way we look at it. It is in fact way beyond that. So communication is a brain work. And if you know it's a brain work, there is a way you go about it. Now, let's look at this. Anytime you are carrying yourself, remember that people are looking at you in these various forms. There are social communicators. They are strong at social interaction, comfortable in social situation, good at reading people, body language, and often very focused on making sure there is harmony among a group. These people, like I've said, they get bubbly, they are watching, they are observing, they are doing all that they can. And they mostly drive the groups going. They bring their energy. Then we have the contextual communicators. They do not like to leave things up to the context of a situation and will rather tell it as it is. Even if that means they are politically correct. In some cultures, them to be, oh, they are too forceful, they speak too blunt, they don't want to leave whatever they are saying to the context so that they can be misconstrued. So every time you are dealing with people, anytime you're dealing with people, remember to identify social communicators, contextual communicators, so whatever you are saying can cut across. You might not even be able to satisfy everybody, but some way, somehow. So if you are not conscious in your communications that there are social communicators and there are contextual communicators, how would you be able to get the best that you want to get out of communication? Because in this 21st century and beyond, your communication must address challenges, must bring solutions, must be able to cut across a lot of people. The third one is linguistic communicators. They focus on language and words. So as I'm making this presentation, there is somebody who is linguistic and wants to measure my tenses. the right choice of words, the right usage of words, the diction, the tonation. So if you are aware of all these people in knowing about communication, when you are sharing, you are very conscious. You know, there are the people that when you ask them, this example is very nice, say, can you hand me the salt? They will not first bring you the salt, but they will say, yes, I can, before they bring you the salt. They mostly are the type that you find them and the contextual people always having issues because they look for diction, they look for this and that. But context will say, no, let me say just as it is, so that you don't put me out of context. Then we have the visual communicators. There are people who speak, articulate, communicate in creating of pictures, creating of pigmentations. Those kind of people, they are the visual communicators. There are people that mostly says, can you see what I'm talking about? Can you see what I'm saying? Can you see that that? These are the visual. So everything they are talking, they keep things in memory through pictures, videos, images. These are visual communicators. Then we have the cerebral communicators. They are deep thinkers and will be very careful about what they say. So if you have if you have this, at least the 4 groups of people, you must have insight of whatever you say, however you are saying it, where you are saying it, when you are saying it, what goes into it, all plays a key role to correlate or relate to varied people. So don't underestimate the power of communication in this dispensation of 21st century. Don't joke with it. Don't at all. Now, I want us to look at, besides communication, there is sender and receiver. And the very beautiful thing about communication is that at one point you, the sender, become a receiver. And at another point, the receiver becomes a sender. So the part where we've got into, I want you to put yourself in any position, but this is how people receive what you communicate. If you understand that communication is a body chemistry, it is not only the ability to voice out stuff, but it's a body chemistry. It is very, very important to know that you cannot say anything at all. So as a communication expert and a trainer, if you start speaking, I need to begin to quickly analyze this, or psychoanalyze this, or I'm profiling. No, it is all important so that I can understand you. Because anything without an understanding mutually shared cannot be termed as effective communication. Anything, whether it is document, whether it is vocal, whether it's body language. Now, let me show you something. Have you noticed that, especially some people who have raised kids, have you noticed that when you tilt your head like this, babies also tilt their head? We call it the mirroring effect. If you don't have all this inside, how would you be able to project and receive the best or effective of communication? So how receivers sees your communication, how the people you are talking to, your body and everything, this is how they receive your information. And we are all at one point sender or receiver. Now, you must remember that whatever you say, somebody is receiving only the emotional aspect of it. It's critical. Whatever you are saying, you are articulating, you are writing in movies, in songs, whatever form the medium is in communication, body language, skills, said whatever, others are only looking for how to connect emotionally with you. So if not so, why would you watch a movie that you so much don't understand the language, but yet you can follow the sequence, and where it gets so sad, you shed tears? Why? Because you connected yourself to the movie using your emotion. So you received via that. Then there is the other aspect called historical, based on their past experience and memories. Whatever you are saying, whatever you are writing, whatever you are sharing, what the body language, everything, people are receiving it based on their past experiences and their past memories. That is why sometimes what you will say, because you don't know how it has impacted the person's life, negative or positive, before you go like, Oh, no, I didn't mean to hurt you. Sometimes it's not really the hurt you are, it's not you hurting, just that it has reminded them of a hurt. Historical. That is why someone say, no, this same thing I've seen it before. This same thing I have seen it before. So it makes people receive information based on their historical antecedent. So remember that in communication, people receive, one, through emotions, two, historical antecedent. The other one is the future, based on their expectations, goals, hopes, vision, blah, blah, blah. When you are talking to a businessman, when you are talking to an investor, they are not so much only looking at figures. They also quickly dovetail into the future and go like, how would this make an impact? How would this be needful? How would this be this? How would this be that? So whatever you are communicating, if the person is a futuristic person and what you are saying does not go into the future and has no relevance into the future, on paper, it will be absolute. But the receiver takes it to the future and says, this is nonsense. So in this 21st century, which is about future, remember that there are people who are receiving from you in the perspective of the future. Then there are the social, based on their situation, including economic status, we call it the psychography. The psychography. If you don't know that when you enter in a political room, there is the way they speak, so you must address them in that context. That's the social. You meet the crème de la crème of a certain cloud, societal status, family status, prestige in academics, where I've reached in life. So these are also the ways. So as you are talking, they are assessing you. Why should they allow you into their brain? I mean, are you of their class? Are you of their status? What is it that they have that you can match up to? So you must know traditions. You don't go to places and quickly throw yourself about. No, you don't do that. You must understand the psychography. You must understand the trends and the traditions, the statuses, how people look at things. So whatever. So this is what I'm saying, that this 21st century, listen, you can no way take your communication as usual. You can't. One thing I have done in most of my training with consult that because of always doing this in communication trainings here and there, we tried to come up with an aggregation. Other experts have it different, but this is how we see communication to be in the workplace, in our churches, in every faculty of human endeavors. This is how we aggregate communication. We allot 50% in entire full communication to body language. The oldest form of expression, oldest form of sharing information, oldest form of articulating anything is body language, because it develops along with your brain. Before your child can talk, they show you displeasure with their body language. So it is as old as it can be, as human can be. Now, if this is not so, if you tease and cut even a dog or a pet, look at how they use, if they are hungry, you know by their body language. If they are angry, if they are not happy with you, if they miss you. So the oldest part, the older aspect of communication is body language. Don't underestimate that. And experts have said that is why you say there is the freeze, the fight, and the flee. These three things, you don't think about it and do them. You don't think, because it is ingrained in your brain. That's why I'm saying that the 21st century, don't only look at communication as just a social science. See it as a science. Body chemistry, biology, something that happens in the brain. So body language, don't take it for granted. The things that your body says about you, which mostly can be in the opposite of what you are altering, it will shock you. And that is where our work is. So some of you go into contract, you go into stuff, and you don't go with expert who can guide you to say that when you read this part of the MOU, I monitored your counterpart, and at this point I saw something. Meaning it could be their vulnerability or their Achilles heel. So perhaps either you hit it more or something. But we take all these things for granted. Body language. Then we give words. Texts. Text and words. Text and words. We give it 8%. It is the least. It is the least. Why? If you have a lecturer who has, let's say, a francophone tone, who has a Japanese tone or a Chinese tone, have you noticed that you are able to evolve to get what they are saying? And it was not so much about the text or the words they are using. How are you able to do that? It is because the human brain can calibrate itself so that it picks to the curve that person is on, so you can get it. Even if the joining, the grammar is not complete, you're still able to get what exactly the person wants to say. That is how people are doing business with a lot of the Chinese. It is not how grammatically they are correct, but they are able to speak for you to get the understanding and that there is business. So words, we give it 8%. Then there's also orientation. That is 5%. I've already explained about where people are coming from and all that. What makes them think and talk. That is orientation, 5%. Tone. Tone is 37%. Tone. Because tone gives emphasis and true meaning to what you say or not. Tone. When we're all growing up, there is a way when our parents call us, we know we are in trouble. Is that not so? There is a way they call you. They call your name and they stress it, you know there is trouble. There is a way they call you with your presence, so there's something good. Tone. So you must learn to modulate your tone. You must learn to modulate your tone. Have that capability. Then we say others because communication, anything at all can happen. So this is how we aggregated communication and have it effectively. Body language 50%, words we gave it 8%, orientation, people's background here and there we gave it 5%, tone, the modulation of the voices, the pitching and everything plays a key role, that is 37%, and others. 4 traits of successful messaging. I'm wrapping up very soon. 4 traits of successful messaging. 4 traits. Remember to directly appeal to the brain in 4 ways. If you are communicating with people, do these 4 things. 4. Whatever you want to say, make it such that you can receive feedback. Don't make it a final thing. I've spoken, it's done. No. Make it such that it makes it reciprocal, because it is 2 brains that are going to communicate. And when you want to make it reciprocal, it means that you have also gone ahead to think of the feedback that potentially you can receive if you are in a person's shoes. That is why we say that you empathize a lot when you are communicating. And it must not be a one-off thing. It must be a lifestyle. This creates you to get what? Feedbacks. It creates loops for you to clarify if there need be. Opinions, it gives you feedback, it generates trust. Because it is very important to always test. So if you make it reciprocal, you throw it as a form of test. Okay? Then before you trust, and you can trust the contract into the person's hands. Make it simple and vivid. I call it KISS. Keep it simple and smart. Make your communication simple and smart. Keep it simple. So make it simple and vivid. When crafting message, we should ensure that they are straightforward and avoid cognitive dissonance. Some people don't have time to think too much if that is not their communication nomenclature. So make sure that whatever you are doing, how you are doing it. Look at President Barack Obama, Martin Luther King. When they speak, you wouldn't want to think about it. You are willing to receive it at a go. It is very important. Make it memorable. Remember that Remember what Maya Angelou said. People will always forget what you said and what you did, but they will not forget how you made them feel. So throughout your communication, it is very imperative that whatever you want to do, however form of communication it is, it must be memorable, because the human brain does not necessarily forget things. It can realign the emotions to what it remembers. The human brain has the propensity. But ideally, the human brain does not forget things. No, the human brain does not forget things. It's one of the amazing things that the world has ever known, the human brain. So make sure that in your communication, you can ingrain or imprint on the minds of your receivers something memorable. When people encounter you, what are they carrying away? Be very, 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 very conscious about this. When people encounter you, what memory are they carrying of you when you are not there? It is mission critical. And this 21st century, where it is going to be things, it's the Internet of Things, it is going to be artificial intelligence and all that. No matter what, it will not outdo men. It will not outdo human being. So you must be able to relate to people in the context where this is how you must package your messages. They must be reciprocal. Don't say you're fucking it is to be fine now. No. Give room for feedbacks, because that creates trust. Make your communication very simple. I call it keeping it simple and smart. Kiss. Don't make it wuntankland. Don't make your communication so difficult. You want to speak all the big of all the grammars. Here, Queen Elizabeth, whose only language is English. Yes, speak. It is the is, the, from, to, go, come, doing. That is it. You want to palangulate, gallivanting, magnificent, and all that. No. Keep it simple, because your listeners, the people you are relating with in the team, all that vary. So, this is the little I want to share with you today on the Africa Seasoned Speakers Network, what I call communication in the 21st century. So I'm wrapping up, and I'll take you briefly through what I've shared today, and I call it a wrap. This is how I define communication. Communication is the fluidity of logical reasoning. You have skill, you want people to know your factors are correct. Critical thinking, are you able to decipher in this 21st century is, remember, it is through communication you build a reputation. So I call it the specs of communication. Solid reputations are built through communication. People management happens through communication. People management happens through communication. Emotional intelligence enforces clarity. It gives communication its sweetener. Then also, communication allows you to coordinate with people. Coordinating with people. Then I said that in all things you do, don't leave your gut brain out. Something we call gut brain, where everything can be correct, but everything can be correct mathematically, factually, everything can be correct. But there is a feeling you have that there is more that meets the eye than what you are seeing. That gut. How you are able to nurture that gut is very critical. If you have so much pain in your heart, your guts don't work. If you have so much envy in your heart, your guts don't work. If you don't know how to share, your guts, there must be that serenity in your life that in face of all the trouble and everything, you don't sow bitterness, rancor, envy in your heart, so that your guts, and the women know how to do this better, because she is at the mall, the baby is at home, she could feel the baby is hungry. It's guts. You can tell, no, this won't go right. It's gut, even though my person everything should right. So nurture your gut feeling. I also say that there are ways to enforce or betray your intelligence. These 3 ways. Through your heart set, how you make people feel. Through your mindset, how I can tell where you are coming from because of what is made up in your sense of mind. Then your skills of what you can do. Then I explained that communication isn't only a matter of talking. It is a brain work. It's a brain chemistry. It is biological. So a part of the brain called the prefrontal, the parietal cortex, the temporal cortex, occipital cortex, then the limbic system. This part of the brain is responsible for how effective you communicate. Then I said also that because communication is a brain work, remember it is verbal. It is a way you exert an authority in the subject area, and not verbal. And your body speaks volumes than the words you utter. When presidents are speaking, world leaders are speaking, people are talking, I profile. And I am able to tell. Sometimes it's not that they are lying. You can tell there is more to it that you would have loved to know. So the brain is rational, so it thinks. Don't think people are stupid. The brain is irrational. It thinks. Check how you relate with your kids at home. If what I'm saying is it's not true. You can't say something. You cannot ask them to do something and you do the otherwise. They will question you because they are rational and the brain thinks. Then also, the brain is emotional. It feels. That is why we keep on saying, have an empathetic heart. Be exercise your emotional intelligence. Mostly I call it a common sense. Be common about that. Then instinctual. I've already spoken about what we call your guts. Then some forms of the group that you can put people in. There are social communicators. For them, they are comfortable. They make things happen. They are social interaction. They assess your body language. They want to make sure there's harmony. There is a contextual community. Everything must be in a context as they don't want it any ambiguity. No. There is a linguistic. I have a friend on Facebook and they are broke. Oh, linguistic. Cha. You know, they make English look funny. So remember that somebody is smacking your grammar every time you are talking, how you are writing, so that people like that. Then the visual communicator. There are others that what you type, what you write in contexts, and they don't see it if it's not in a picture form. So you must always speak to them in creating pictures, scenarios, and telling stories so they can capture it better. Then the cerebral communicators. These people, before they say yes, allow them to process it. So this is how we all form when it comes to communication. Then there are forms of receiving information. People receive information emotionally, historically, futuristic, and socially. Then we also said that communication is broken into aggregation, and 50% goes to body language. So pay attention to what your body says. When talking to somebody, pay attention to what the person is saying. Then also words. The mere words you say is 8%. So that should tell you that you can say things that your body can say 100 and you are saying 1. You choose your body than what you are saying out of your mouth. Then tone, the variation, the modulation, it can tell me that there is more to the matter, or you are being fair, firm, truthful, factual. Your tone can tell me. Then orientation, your background can tell me, your cultural pride, your belief system. All those goes into your orientation. That is 5%. Then the 2%, anything can happen in communication. So finally, the 4 traits of successful message. Make it such that people can respond and you can receive feedback. Make it simple and vivid, what I call case. Keep it simple and smart. Then make it memorable. Let people be able to take something away. So basically, this is, in a wrap, communication for the 21st. If you are still on the timeline and you want to ask a question, I am opening it up for 10 minutes question, then I can call it a wrap. So if you are watching and you have some questions so far of what you've heard and you want to ask a question, I will encourage you to ask it right now, and let's call it a wrap, because communication must be time bound as well in all things, because anything scientific comes in measurement. So you must know there's something called information overload. There's something we call, so all this are the techniques and the technicalities in it. So if you have any question or you have something to add, please, you can text it so that I can
read. Okay. Paul Usu, thank you very much. Abuna Dufie, hi. Abuna Dufie, hey, I salute you. Prince Boache, Kwekwa Nkuma, Ezra, thank you. Alex, Bongo, Henry Ajimai. Hi, our Mackenzie Moore, please, we salute you. Wherever you are, Bubu, I salute you, comrade. My sister Sarah, Otu, Fanny Nana Ampon. Africa Traders, been a while. Afi, Bonga, please hurry up and come home. My brother, all the way in South Africa, thank you for watching. Romeo, comrade, Wisdom, I salute. Bright, Foruman Tiao, Sofo Selassie, Isaac Agbenya, Ash, Boa, Ali Tanti Robert, Bobby, Dako, Kojo Odroboachi. I did kneel down there. Nanaya, sorry, yes, this is what you said that, okay, you like the different audience of communicators, contextual linguistic very much. My wife is watching Rebecca Yeboah, Gifty Ama, Senior Pastor Lesson Fum, I salute you. Berimaba, I salute you. And Imana Moakon, I salute you too. I could say corporate, please, after this, try and do the proper thing. Bring some food, make a chop some. Nanaya Asare Amponsa, Joseph Portofi, I salute you too. So if there are no any question, but this will give you to want to still stay in touch, you can always find me on Facebook. So thank you very much, Africa Seasoned Speakers Network, for the opportunity, and I believe we can do this again sometime. Communication in the 21st century. Pay attention.